Someone left their phone?
Yes, James.
Really? Let's see who's got it. Yeah, by the way, how great is it that I have to follow James O'Keefe? Thank you for that. Smart girl politics. I've got some slides and I've got some show and tell, but seriously, I could blah 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 about this forever. If you have questions, ask them. Just shout them out at any time. James showed you what, and I left my notes over on the table. James showed you what the finished product looks like. And he said a couple of things that you should always remember when working with videos. The first, I have my great notes, because I'm a professional journalist. Content is king. You are not the story. You are not going to be on Fox News because you are super smart or super great. You may be super smart or super great, but what you have on video is what they want. So content is king. We'll talk a little bit about that here on some slides. The other thing, know the laws in your state. If you don't want to end up in jail or in the back of the squad car, know what the laws are. Everybody understand one-party consent, two-party consent? One party means, I know I'm recording you, so it's legal. Two-party means, I know I'm recording you, and you know I'm recording you, know the difference. Generally, you can film from a public sidewalk in the public, and if you are holding a camera, then it's obvious that you're on film. You generally can get away with that, but know the laws. That's not going to stop some jackass cop from hooking you up and throwing you in the back of the car, but it should probably keep you out of jail. All right, let's flow through the slides. The most important three things, and I hate people who read PowerPoints, so if I start doing this, just remind me. Exclusive original, and it doesn't totally suck. How many of you guys watch cat videos on YouTube or Vine? Thank God for YouTube. From a journalist perspective, it is training an entire generation of viewers and of producers to watch terrible video. It's terrible. If you were to go to school to be a photojournalist or a videographer, they would talk a lot about light and about shade and about focus and all of this stuff. When you point your iPhone at the morons dancing in the fountain, you don't worry about any of that. You just get it. Hey, it's funny. Share it. You know, you get your clicks. Same thing with news. It just has to be there. Good is great. Something is better than nothing. All right. If you have something nobody else does, you have the story. You know, what James captured was these people and their reactions. How he did it may be different. How he markets it may be different. Not every one of us can be James O'Keefe, and you shouldn't worry that just because you're not, that you shouldn't do what he does. Capturing something on tape means you are so far ahead of everybody else. People experience the news by seeing it. I like to tell the newspaper reporters and Watchdog, the best written description is still nowhere near as good as the worst video of seeing it. Now, I can try and describe what a car crash looks like, or I can just show it to you. This is, oh, sorry, go back. Boom, boom. Be careful. This is, the second point is, if you are producing video where you are on, I see a lot of people talking to their webcam. It's great, but everybody in here probably has a similar opinion of Nancy Pelosi, or a similar opinion of Obamacare. Unless you're bringing something new to the party, you are going to be down on the list. But if you are the first person to say, hey, the city council in Vienna, Illinois is charging taxpayers for a retreat, well, that's interesting. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi, blah, 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 blah. But when you bring something new to the party, that's when it becomes interesting. 3 local stories is a statewide story. 3 state stories is a national story, as long as it's the same kind of topic. 3 different communities close their libraries in different manners because they've all run out of money. That is a statewide story about running out of money for your library. Same thing with the states. All right. This is what's going to get you in legal trouble. You have to shoot it. Don't steal other people's stuff, that's not cool. You don't want to present something as your own to find out it's fake. And always, there weren't enough room for always, keep an original copy. If and when detractors find you and say, well, that video's been, as James would say, selectively edited. I may have cut it down for time. I don't want you to have to watch an hour's worth of video to get to the 2 good minutes that happen at 46 minutes into the video. But you have to be able to refute any claim that you are taking video out of context and trying to make what it says. And if you are doing that, stop, don't do it. That's the wrong way to use video, because once I know that you are full of it, I'm never going to trust anything you have, no matter how good it is. And you know what to brand your video. We'll get to that when we get to editing. Yeah, James uses some great hidden cameras, some great really small pieces of gear. Most of the time you don't need to do that. You also, we're not making the next Transformers movie, so don't worry too much about all sorts of fancy filmmaking techniques. Get the person in frame, make sure that I can hear them and that I can see them, and that's really all you need to do. This is the Chris McCoy line. Hold your phone sideways. Your computer screen, the television at home, it's formatted widescreen. Unless, of course, you're watching on a box TV and then, what the hell are you doing? You need to get up to the new century. But hold your phone sideways. It will make such a huge difference when people are watching this video at home. And I'll show you external microphones and patches and all sorts of fun stuff like that here in a second. If you are going to do your own web show or your own videos on YouTube, think about investing in a step and repeat kind of background. You don't have to get the big nylon ones that everybody uses out here. You can go to your local printer and for a couple of bucks they'll print you up something that you can just put behind you as a background so it makes you pop a little bit more. Questions? This is the most important thing that I can stress. If you are going to work with video, you have to have a plan. You have to know what the story is that you're going to tell, how you are going to tell it. Is it going to just be sound bites? Is it going to be raw video? Are you going to try and piece together a package? You have to know down to the minute of how long your story is going to be before you ever leave the house. The absolute worst thing in the world is to go and just turn on your camera and see what happens. Because what's going to happen is you're going to end up with an hour's worth of footage. And you have to edit what you shoot. There's no magical editing elves that come in while you sleep and cut your video down into a package. The other thing that happens is if you don't shoot enough video, and so you have to repeat shots, or you have to find a way to cover up holes. Everybody knows what a television package is, right? Where you hear somebody talking and you see pictures over the top of that voice. Write that out. If that's what you're going to do, you need to write your story so that you know how long you are. To get kind of technical, about 5-second edits. So if you're talking a minute and a half worth of package, I'm bad at math. You're going to need to be able to fill it with 20 different shots. So you're going to need to have 20 different shots. Tight, medium, wide, medium, tight. Shoot the hands, the feet, and the signs. One big picture of the room looks kind of similar. Give me some different shots that'll break it up. But most importantly, get the interviews right. That's what I want. I don't want to just see the room, I want to see the people. I want to see their faces. Yeah. We can go into some more of this stuff, but when you're dealing with gear, spending a little bit of money is going to make a big difference. But you don't have to spend a ton of money. There are people that will take thousands of your dollars and give you damn near professional grade equipment. You don't need it. But I would also say don't go down and buy stuff out of Walmart. I love Walmart, but their electronics aren't really that good. Most of the time now your cell phone is just about all you need. All right, when you get to editing, you need some kind of software to be able to trim your video. You also need to be able to maybe add text, a bug, which brands it for you. You need some basic functions. It also would be nice to download a free picture editor so that you can either sharpen or shrink. You don't need, the next slide, you don't need to go out and buy Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere. I use Adobe Premiere, it's great, it's wonderful, but I get paid to edit video. It's expensive, and it can make a movie. You can quite literally make up the movie Up from Disney with Final Cut Pro. You're not making Up. You're giving me 17 seconds of what your county supervisor said about the FY14 budget. There's a difference. Don't spend more money than you have to, because video can get very, very expensive. All right, watchdog.org and watchdogwire.com. This is where you can go to find our work and to see what other people who are in situations like you are offering. We don't need you or expect you to write the Bible. I don't want everything in the world from you. I want your little snapshot of where you are. And as I sit in the state capitol in Springfield, I can take a look and I can see what's going on in this community, what's going on in that community, what's going on down here. You may not know what's happening in the rest of the state. I do. It's like Legos. And the more pieces that you provide a guy like me, the more we can build and build it together. Keepvid.com. If you remember the third website, always remember watchdog.org and watchdogwire. Keepvid.com allows you to download and keep any video off of YouTube. If there is a campaign commercial, if there is somebody doing something stupid, you want to make sure that you have a copy that you can either save so it can't be pulled off of YouTube, or edit, keepvid.com. And then BSW USA, the full compass, is where I got all of my gear. It's where professionals can go. Again, you don't need to spend too much money. Any questions before show and tell? Wow, it's an easy room. Or I'm really boring. All right, this is the camera that I use the most. It's the Canon Vixia series. It doesn't even, this is an external bracket. That's it, that's all it is. It's not too fancy. The most important thing to look for is you want to have an external microphone input, because the better sound makes better video.
What's the price on that?
This, you can get the Vixia series for as low as 400 bucks. You can get them for about as high as 700, and then it steps up to the next. The more you spend, the more features you're going to have, but the very basic is about $400. Microphones are something that I have, coming from radio, developed a love for. This is the Shure VPN 64A. That's a product placement. Microphones are like shoes. If you buy a good one, it'll last you for a while. If you buy a cheap one, it'll kind of fall apart on you. I wouldn't necessarily hammer nails with this, but this microphone, which cost about 80 bucks, will last me 6 or 7 years, and I'll use it every single day. It's worth the investment.
Is it wireless?
No, it's not wireless. You have to buy a microphone adapter, mic cord. It is XLR, these 3 little holes, and this is female, and if you look, it is male for obvious reasons. But XLR is the professional microphone connection, and then it goes to a mini or a 1/4 inch plug, which then plugs right into the camera. And 90% of the interviews I shoot are like this. So Congressman, tell me. And yeah, you look stupid with this thing almost on your eye, but it gets him in frame, he answers your questions, everything's good to go, and you have your questions there. I found this, which is a wonderful little iPhone adapter. It allows you to, oh, I didn't bring my phone. It allows you to take your phone, this, like this, and now when you shoot video with your phone, you've got an external microphone. You will only hear what comes in through here. If not, you hear everything that comes in through the back end of this, like you're speaking on speakerphone. It's tough to understand when people are speaking on speakerphone. It's tough to hear them when you're recording video with them as well. Put it, narrow the field. Again, phone sideways, boom, boom, boom. This is for your headphones. Great for being on the radio. If you're ever going to be a guest on a radio show, this thing works perfect. Since I have Chris's iPhone, I am going to show you this one. And the neatest little clip that I found. The biggest thing that you want to do when you shoot video is make sure you don't have shaky video. And it's almost impossible sometimes. But if you get a tripod, now, your phone can just stand there and film. You go to your city council member's office. You go to a school board meeting. You can set this up on the table. And this one, it's a gorilla pod, so it moves and can kind of lock. You can set it up on a chair or hook it. Let's see, it's strong here. Hook it up like that, and it'll hold there, and it'll be a little bit more steady. This is perfect for interviewing somebody in their office. I use a tripod like this for my camera whenever I'm in somebody's office, and you just sit there and you talk. And that's the key. That's what we want. We want that conversation. This costs a whopping $20 on Amazon or eBay or wherever it is, and you can buy these gorilla pods for $9 at your friendly neighborhood Walmart. That's basically all you need. A nice tripod like the one this gentleman's using here is good. Targus makes T-A-R-U-G-S, or G-U-S, T-A-R-G-U-S. Makes a decent one for 75 bucks. Manfrotto makes a lot of tripods and they sell them at Best Buy, but they are rather expensive. So that is the sum total of my knowledge in a nutshell. How can I help you? What questions do you have? Has anybody ever tried to do some video and run into problems? Is everybody just waiting for a break so they can get out of this hot room?
Well, I remember hearing Andrew Breitbart talk to us about wanting everyone to be a citizen journalist. So he would talk about always having your cell phone with you and always video. And I haven't done that. I think it's a great idea, but it's kind of, I found it a little intimidating to be there filming people. And they'll be offended or something.
No, you are doing your job as a citizen to question the man. Everyone should question government. I have covered government in Illinois for 10 years, and I can tell you one thing with certainty. The closer government is to you, the faster it will screw you over. And there is an awful lot of attention paid in Washington, D.C. And as we've seen with the Farm Bill, the fight over Obamacare, it takes years for D.C. to screw things up. States takes about a year, maybe 6 months. That's how long a typical legislative session is. Your city council can vote to raise taxes in a week. Your school board can change the curriculum in one meeting. Somebody needs to be in these local places asking these questions. And just simply by going and asking, you're going to totally scare the hell out of everybody in the room. Local government does not like being questioned. It is a little intimidating, but if you just simply go and turn it on, you'll be amazed what happens. But again, know what it is that you're looking for when you go there. If you're going there to film to show how they're not very open, you can just walk in and say, hey, turn that off. And there's a huge difference between how a no filming policy is interpreted on a blog or in a traditional newspaper. We went to the Kane County Board of Supervisors, but we're told we could not film. That's how it's written. But if you go and they say, hey, if you want to film, you kind of got to go back in this little area, or get that damn camera out of my face! You're not allowed to film me! Well, what video do I want? What video is going to get looked at on Facebook? There's a difference. It is a bit intimidating, but you can take control by having a plan and knowing what it is that you want to use that video for.
How often do you encounter resistance like that? I mean, if we started taping,
How
often do you think we would get someone yelling at us?
The great part about the democratization of news, the small d, is that more and more people are doing this, going to candidate forums. Erica Harold is a candidate for Congress, I think in my district, and she's going to speak here tonight. And it's the kind of thing that I would love, as a professional journalist, I would love if when she got done and walked off the stage, 5 people came up to her with their iPhones running and said, hey, could you clarify what you said about this? The higher up the chain, the less resistance you're going to get. Dick Durbin or your senator, they're used to it. Your local city council member, your local school board member, they're not going to be used to it. But then again, if you know what it is, sometimes the question is the story, sometimes the answer is the story. And if you are filming and someone is resistant to it, simply by publicizing that can spark the change. And that's what James showed, is that you're not going to elect or unelect somebody with one video. But when you ask the question and show it on video so people can't deny that it didn't happen, it starts to change the conversation, and eventually you take control of the narrative and push it there. So, you're going to run into it, but as long as you're following the law, they can bitch and complain all they want, but this is government. I'm not coming into your house and saying, hey, I see you're a Giants fan. Why are you a Giants fan and not an Eagles fan? No, I'm going up to a duly elected member of government who receives a taxpayer salary and saying, hey, I've got a question. I'm a taxpayer and I want to know this.
So if you go to your board of supervisors, mine in Madison, Mississippi, tend to go into executive session, I guess that's what they call it, and that is not open to the public. And our guys seem to really do some damage in those sessions. How do you deal with that? Because supposedly you're not allowed to go into them.
You can always ask not to go in because you're going to be told no. But when they walk out, say what you talk about. And this is a problem that even professional journalists have. The way around that is to force them to answer questions. And by asking, this is a case where the question is the story. You know the answer is going to be no or nothing or none of your business. So you need to find a way to phrase the question so that the answer affirms the story. Supervisor, you guys went into executive session for 2.5 hours. What'd you talk about? Well, how many lawsuits is the city facing? What requires a 2.5 hour executive session? Well, I can't tell you that. As soon as you came out of executive session, you voted without any discussion on these 3 budget matters. Did you talk about these budget matters in executive session? Well, I can't talk about that. I'm not going to answer any more questions. His refusal, therefore, becomes the story. And what you have done for viewers who are just watching, you've connected the dots. And you forced him to, if there was no correlation between executive session and those budget votes, he would say, nah, that's totally separate things. We were talking about other things in executive session. Okay, great. But the questions that you were asking drive the narrative as opposed to the answers that he was giving. Does that make any sense?